Revenge films.
My name is Kelly Smith. I'm 25 years old and I'm currently a full-time housewife. I got married to my husband, Michael, who's an amazing man and works at a major elite company. Recently, we purchased our dream home and moved in. Living in the middle of the city was going to be too expensive, so we decided to get a house in a smaller town in the suburbs. But outside of the city, it was more quiet, and I liked living here. Our first baby is still 1 year old, and her name is Colette. But we call her Coco for short. It's our loving nickname for her. And actually, our beloved cat that we've had since before Colette was born is also named Coco. We were a happy family of 3 humans and 1 cat, and I felt like I was living the dream. However, that didn't mean that I had absolutely no problems or worries. There was actually one major problem that I had, and that was one of the fellow moms in the neighborhood who had a problematic personality. And not only that, but she works at the local grocery store that I often use. That's because her husband was the owner of the grocery store and she was the store's manager. Because my baby was still young, I wanted to be able to go to the closest and most convenient grocery store. That's why I was always shopping there. It wasn't a big town, so there weren't many other options nearby otherwise.
Oh, it's you again, Miss Kelly. It must be nice to be a full-time housewife. You get to roll around all day at home and do nothing.
As she was running the register, she started saying difficult things like this to me. Well, actually, I'm doing all of the household chores and raising my 1-year-old baby. It's not like I'm just rolling around doing nothing all day.
You know, unlike you, I don't get to live in my brand new dream home with my husband and enjoy my family time like you do. I also have to take care of my mother-in-law, and I have to stand in this supermarket and work. I wish I could laze around all day like you.
She seemed like she had some kind of jealousy. She was always trying to ask me questions and digging into my personal life, but I would always try to gently laugh it off and brush it off. Because I previously accidentally told her that I was a full-time housewife, and that was when she started saying these things to me like this and showing her jealousy, and that's why I didn't want to tell her anything, and I didn't tell her the name of my pet or even the name or age of my daughter. Then one day, I was making small talk with one of our other neighbors. Recently, Coco's been a little bit naughty, and it's been a bit of a pain. She's such a little troublemaker.
What? Really? But Coco always seems so calm and well-behaved.
Even the other day, she went behind my back and stole my snacks from me. As I was talking about my funny pet cat, I suddenly felt somebody's gaze in my direction. When I looked up, it was coming from none other than that bothersome woman who was staring over this way. And when I saw the suspicious look on her face, it looked like she was planning something that wasn't good. The next day, out of nowhere, suddenly the police showed up at my front door.
Hello, ma'am. May I ask you a few questions?
He looked at me with stern eyes, and I knew that it was serious.
I wanted to ask you a few questions about your family member, Coco.
About Coco? Without thinking, I asked the question back. Why is there a policeman coming here out of his way, and what does he want to know about my cat?
I was asked to come here to arrest your family member named Coco.
It was true that even though Coco was a cat, she was part of the family, but what did he mean?
I'm sorry, I'm not really understanding, because Coco is a cat?
I told him the truth, that Coco is a cat, but for a moment the police officer just had a suspicious look on his face, and he simply looked at me like he'd misheard me and didn't register what I said.
Ma'am, we received a call from somebody in your neighborhood and they filed a report. They were extremely angry on the phone.
Filed a report? What is it that Coco had supposedly done?
Are you aware of the supermarket that's nearby in this neighborhood?
The police officer then named the grocery store that I always go to. I nodded my head yes.
The woman who's the wife of the owner there called us and said that they were having trouble because their neighbor's child, Coco, has repeatedly been stealing from the shop. Because this was between neighbors, she said she didn't want to make it a big deal, but she asked us to come and warn you about it.
Coco? Stealing? At the grocery store, they also sold fish. I thought maybe one day Coco had gotten out of the house and taken a fish and run out of the grocery store with a fish in her mouth. However, because we always keep her in the house and we don't let her outside, there would be no way for her to have gotten to the grocery store. For a brief moment, I thought maybe it wasn't my cat, but that he was talking about my daughter. But That possibility was instantly ruled out. My daughter was still 1 year old, and she was even less capable of stealing than my cat, so that made even less sense in this situation. I was confused as I was standing outside of my house speaking to the police officer when suddenly I heard a loud voice echo through the streets.
Oh my, Miss Kelly! Oh, what's the matter? Oh, what on earth is happening? The fact that the police are here at your door questioning you, it must not be something small. What did you do?
It was the voice of that problematic neighbor. When I looked up, she was standing in front of my house, grinning from ear to ear and looking at me. And then the police officer told me that she was the one that filed the police report. And yet she was pretending like she didn't know anything and started trying to make a big deal out of the situation.
Wait a minute. Did you commit some kind of crime? Oh my, oh goodness! And this is exactly why people from the city are so scary. So, what was the crime? Was it stealing or robbery? Something like that, perhaps? What did you get caught for?
For the time being, I chose to ignore that woman, and I just wanted to finish dealing with the police officer. Okay, sir, then I will bring Coco out now so you can see for yourself. After I went back into my house, I came out holding my pet cat in my hands, and the policeman saw Coco. He frowned.
So I guess I did hear correctly, and that wasn't a mistake.
And then his face became even more serious, and he looked down. He had come all this way for a questioning based on misleading information. As a police officer, of course it wasn't a good look. I had no doubt that he was regretting that he had listened to everything that the woman from the supermarket had said to him and taken it to heart and believed it all. But for her, there were a lot of things that she clearly had not thought through well enough. I don't know what world she was living in, but she was continuing on with her version she made up and raised her voice even more.
See? Look at that! Even the policeman has a scary look on his face! So you are guilty!
Because her voice was so loud, some of the other neighbors and passerbys in the area started to gather around the commotion, wondering what was going on. Seeing the crowd, the woman started to get carried away and continued to yell.
So, why is there a police officer here? Don't you think you should tell everybody what you did so that everybody can hear it?
She was grinning from ear to ear. This time, I raised my voice. Of course, that was that all the neighbors could hear me clearly. Well, the police officer told me that the owner of the supermarket, which would mean you, told him to come here. He was told that my Coco has been stealing from your grocery store and to give a warning to my family. Many of the neighbors knew that Coco was a cat, and so I could hear some of them starting to laugh. However, the woman didn't seem to take notice at all, and she yelled back confidently.
And there it is! Finally, your true nature is revealed! You can't even raise a decent child, nor can you discipline them. Even if your kid is still little, they are a thief, and a repeat offender at that. Oh, what a failure of a mother you are! By the way, how old is your kid anyway? Even though I've asked you many times before, you refuse to tell me, but...
I'm pretty sure Coco is, if I calculate it correctly, I think she would be about 30 years old in human years?
Excuse me, did you just say 30 years old? Obviously there's no way that's true, because then that would mean that Coco is older than you. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's because my pet cat, Coco, is 3 years and a few months old. And that's why when you calculate in cat years, when you relate that to human years, then she should be close to about 30 years old. I already had Coco in my hands, so I raised her so that everybody could see her clearly. And then I continued on to explain loudly so that all of the neighbors and people looking could hear. You see, this is Coco. It is true that she's part of my family, but as you can see by looking at her, she is a cat. And on top of that, we keep her indoors all the time. So there's no way that she could be a thief or a repeat offender at your grocery store. When I said that, everybody around was looking directly at her, and their laughter became louder. Now that we were at this point, it seemed like she finally understood that everybody was, in fact, laughing at her, and her face turned bright red. I would love to ask the manager of the grocery store what exactly was stolen from the shop.
Well, that's a lot of things, a lot of stuff.
The neighbor was crumbling as she said that, and then she tried to turn around and run away. However, this time the policeman stepped in and stopped her.
Before you go, ma'am, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
What? Why me? But I haven't done anything wrong. I'm a victim, aren't I? What is there to ask me?
The neighbor seemed shocked and scared.
The fact that you would come up with a fake incident and file a report to the police about it, don't you know that that's a crime?
Even though her husband is such a polite, well-mannered person and seems like a good man, why is it that his wife is somebody like this? I was at a loss for words as I looked over at the neighbor. She was being questioned intensely by the police and had turned completely pale at this point. She was taken into the police car. After I took a deep breath and looked at the situation, I decided not to make a big deal out of the incident. Because after all, this was a small town in the suburbs, and it was a situation between neighbors. I wanted to be able to go to that grocery store again, and plus, like I mentioned before, her husband, the owner, was a good person. On top of all that, with even the police getting involved and such a large crowd gathering in front of my house, it was extremely embarrassing. I figured that after this, she wouldn't try to harass me again. I tried to forget about that incident, and a few weeks had gone by after that. From that day forward, that neighbor completely stopped harassing me or saying anything rude towards me. My life felt like a dream, and I was finally able to fully enjoy my life without having any trouble like before. Ever since I was a little kid, I had always dreamt of someday having a life with a pet. But before I got married and when I was living alone, my apartment building didn't allow for pets. And so, now that I was able to get married to the love of my life, and we moved into our dream home, and I was able to live so happily with my beloved husband and daughter and our beautiful pet cat, I was truly happy. One day I happened to be outside of my house, and I was talking about this with one of the other neighbors and having a lively conversation with her. But that was when, all of a sudden, I started to sense the glare of somebody on my back. When I looked up, I hadn't noticed that the manager of the grocery store was standing there once again, and she was looking over in our direction. And once again, she had a suspicious, scary look on her face, like she was up to no good. I tried not to let it bother me too much. However, I wasn't going to be able to. That's because a few days later, a rumor started to spread around the neighborhood that sent chills down my spine. I'm going to kidnap that woman Kelly's precious Coco, and then I'm going to throw her into the river and she'll never see her again. The rumor was that the neighbor was telling people this, but I could already imagine that the rumor was coming from that woman herself. I started to become worried, but I decided to muster up the courage and confront her directly. Why are you continuing to harass me like this? Why are you bullying me?
Harassing? Bullying? What are you talking about? Do you have some kind of proof that I'm the one that said any of those things?
You are using the moms in the neighborhood that you still get along with, and I know that you are purposefully spreading rumors like that to make me nervous and to scare me.
Oh, please, it's just about that stupid little cat, isn't it? And not only that, but it's just a rumor, right? You know the police aren't going to do anything over something this small. Stop making it such a big deal.
And the woman laughed in my face. However, she was wrong, and the police did, in fact, do something about it. But I didn't have to do anything. One of the other neighbors reported to the police that had heard that there was a neighbor who said she was going to kidnap a 1-year-old baby and was planning on killing her.
No, that's not true. That's not what it sounds like. I was talking about the cat. I was talking about kidnapping the cat. Obviously, there's no way I would say that I'm going to kidnap somebody's 1-year-old baby and throw them into the river. I didn't know that her daughter's name is Colette and that the daughter's nickname was Coco too. Why would it be the same name as the cat? I didn't know that.
It doesn't matter. Both Coco and Colette are a part of my family, and there's no way I'm going to forgive anybody for trying to hurt my family. The neighbor was trying to deny the allegations, but I was able to say those last words to her. After all of this was exposed, her husband ended up divorcing her, and that was because this incident ended up becoming a big deal in the neighborhood. Everybody knew that this woman hated helping out at the grocery store, and she also hated living with her mother-in-law. And after everything that she had done, her husband must have had enough. But now, she was free of both of those things. I'm sure she's celebrating and happy with her life now. According to the rumors that I heard, she moved to a tiny, rundown apartment, and she's quietly living a sad life alone. But she did this all to herself.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.